Einhorn is really blasting the regulators. He believes they're allowing, quote, quasi-anarchy to rule the markets. And as one example, he points to tweets made by Chamath Palihapitiya and Elon Musk championing the Redditors. Einhorn says their comments at a, quote, critical moment further destabilized the situation with GameStop. As a reminder, on January 26th of this year, Palihapitiya tweeted that he bought GameStop calls. Musk later tweeted GameStonk on that same day. Shares of the video game retailer surged to their peak of about $350 a share the following day. They've never reached that level since then. Palihapitiya also appeared on CNBC to discuss GameStop. Neither responded to our request for comment in response to the Einhorn letter. Einhorn, though, of course, a longtime Tesla bear and Elon Musk critic, says, quote, the laws don't apply to him. He's referring to Musk there, and he can do whatever he wants. Now, I just got off the phone with a market regulatory expert who told me that it's hard to legally distinguish between the comments made by Musk and Palihapitiya on GameStop from those when Einhorn himself publicly comes out for or against a company. That said, this person notes that from an ethical standpoint, business celebrities do have a responsibility to think about how their words might impact the finances of those who follow them into a particular trade. I also just spoke with Amy Lynch, a former SEC and FINRA regulator, who says that regulators have not finished looking into trading surrounding GameStop just yet. So this story is not quite over, at least from the regulatory standpoint. Melissa.
Yep. Chapters continue to be written. Leslie, thank you. Leslie Picker. Anarchy in the eyes of David Einhorn, guy, but freedom of speech in the eyes of others. What do you think?
Yeah, freedom of speech, absolutely. Listen, so right now, as we sit here, Tesla, there's a market cap of $700 billion-ish, right? He's the CEO of that company. He also has 50 million followers on Twitter. This is Elon Musk. Why on January 26th, after the market closes, like, what's the point of tweeting game stonks, 2 exclamation points? I mean, I'll use the word, it's asinine. Like, if it's sport, you know what, find a better sport. Go do shooting clays or something. But, you know, the stock that day closed at 147.98. 2 days later, it was trading 483, and it traded in a range of 112 to 483. Like, I don't understand that. It's not particularly funny. It's not particularly clever. And what purpose does it serve? So I'm sort of with Einhorn on this one. Is it illegal? No, I'm not suggesting it is. Is it infantile? 100%. And does it have far-reaching ramifications? Like, you know, I'm sure it's clever and funny to him and his pals. For a lot of people, made a lot of money. I'm sure a lot of more people lost a lot of money.
Right. It seems a little bit, Karen, of the pot calling the kettle black. I mean, David Einhorn does come on air. He does tweet himself. He puts out letters stating what his positions are. So why is this any different? It's just that in the age of social media, the impact is more immediate. But it's all the same, isn't it?
I think you're making an excellent point, right? We know David comes out and has positions that he tells us what the positions are and why he, you know, is short or long or whatever it might be. He makes one other point in the letter that I thought was interesting, which is he's pointing out Chamath just, you know, going after Robinhood and how terrible Robinhood is, and not really at the time disclosing that. Or not going out of his way to disclose that he has a SoFi position, which one could see as a potential competitor to Robinhood. And so David makes that point, which is interesting. But I agree. I think free speech, I think, you know, Chamath said, I'm long calls, or whatever it was, the 115s or whatever he bought, and gave them to charity. But I do think it is a little irresponsible to add fuel to the fire, unless you really don't believe that's fuel to the fire. Right. I kind of do. So, I agree with Guy that it's somewhat immature. I don't really know why he felt a need to do that, but also free speech, and he did say what he was doing. Full disclosure. If he hadn't said that, then I would feel differently.
Right, and disclosure is sort of interesting in this era of social media, stock influencers and asset influencers. We see this time and time again, particularly within the crypto community. I mean, think about Dogecoin, for instance. And I just raise this because many people say there's nothing to Dogecoin, including the creator of Dogecoin. And yet all these celebrities come out and they tweet about Doge. And here we are with Doge. It has a massive market cap and has gone up a lot this year because so many celebrities have gotten behind it. So we live in an era in which influencers have a big role. The question, though, Bonawyn, is there is no transparency surrounding these influencers. So as Karen had mentioned, you know, Chamath didn't go out of his way to disclose a position in SoFi, which could be construed as a competitor. There are all sorts of other things that are tangled up that we might not know about anybody who tweets about any sort of stock out there, who have a position enough to influence how the stock trades.
Yeah, I think Karen makes a really good point in terms of disclosure, right? I think that was a critical point that was omitted or forgotten, or I don't know. It's hard for me to point fingers without knowing the full story, but I think that's just it, right? We're all essentially in a situation where these people do have influence. They are social influencers or celebrities, and they're using it to their advantage. And we've seen that from everything from our former president to other investors or speculators. So it's really hard for me to kind of part and parcel what exactly should or shouldn't happen. Yes, certainly it is adding fuel to the fire, but I think this whole GameStop situation is highlighting just the effect that social media is having on the stock market. And there's a lot of pushback there. To me, it speaks to the evolution of how information is going to be disseminated. GameStop is somewhat of a one-liner, not a lot of color around that. Mm-hmm. Clearly, I do think he knew what he was doing. But if investors are buying GameStop on a hashtag, I think you kind of assume that risk.
Nadine, I think it was interesting that Guy had mentioned, you know, that he thinks it was stupid or immature or whatever it is. Be that as it may, was anything wrong done, do you think?
Well, Mel, I think that number one, what Karen said, it's about disclosure. And two, what Bonawyn says is if you're going to play in the market and not play in a lot of information, you're assuming a risk and you should know what you're doing. So again, all for democratizing trading and investing, but at the same time, you know, it's up to you to decide how much capital you put at risk. And over time, I do believe the regulators will be looking into this. They will be probably firming up some rules around disclosure, as well as information and how you can trade, what you can trade, the leverage you get. So I think this is part of the evolution. It was just, as I think Bonawyn said, it's a bit of a data point, but there's been enough data points that I think that there will be changes.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.